What is going on, comic book movie fans? My name is Jonathan. This is Comic Book Cinema. Today, I am joined by everyone's favorite redheaded stepchild. What's up, Jason G?
Hey, how's it going? It's been a totally not stressful day at all today.
Yeah, I just want to throw this out there into the ether that there are some days, not every day, but there are some days where I would rather pluck my eyeballs out with ice picks than go into Walmart and be there for longer than 30 minutes, especially with a 2-year-old daughter. And I can only sympathize with Mr. Dacey, one Mr. Dacey who has 3 daughters. How are you doing, Dacey?
Yes, sir. I'm good. Mine are being corralled in there just to be quiet long enough for this to take place.
Yeah, that's a feat in itself. Trust me.
Absolutely.
So today we are here to discuss Black Adam that just released in theaters this weekend. Us 3 gentlemen went out to go see this film starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Mm-hmm. And right off the bat, I'll say this. When I saw the first trailer for this film, and I saw big hulking Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in that costume, I thought 2 things. The first thing was, okay, he's definitely got the build for it. But the second thing I thought was, boy, or one could even say, gee willikers, it is so odd to see Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, the wrestler that I watched as a kid growing up, play a superhero. Mm-hmm. And my biggest questions and doubts were all centered around that theory. Can The Rock pull off Black Adam? And after watching this film, I think he not only pulled it off, but Jason, he knocked it out of the park.
I want to piggyback on that because I had the speculation, like when I first heard that he was going to play Black Adam. Like I was kind of split down the middle. He's got the build, really like the comic book build of being this massive guy who could play the part. I think he's went from arena to cinema very well. The combination of him and Kevin Hart and all these different films and all of that. I was like, I just don't want it to be too comedic. I don't want it to be too funny. I don't want him to make these snide remarks or these just to be sarcastic all the time or do their smoldering look or whatever. I think he did a really good job of not overplaying the part, if that makes sense. Yes. I think he did a good job sticking to some material and allowing the character to play itself.
I will say this. There are a lot of positives that I can say about the movie. When I said I was going to drag it, I'm going to drag it. But The Rock himself, charismatic as ever. Him and Pierce Brosnan were incredible. Golly, is he big. He was fine. He's very charismatic. You know, you don't get to be the jabroni beating, pie eating, eyebrow raising, trail blazing, people's champ, The Rock, without being charismatic. So I thought that part worked for the movie.
That's what I really worried about because The Rock in film in the past has been known for a very specific role. He's really good at that role, but it's always that one role. You know, he's always kind of just this one type of character. But I think that he stepped out a bit. I mean, there was a lot of shades of The Rock that we've gotten in other films, sure, with some of the humor as well. But it was definitely a different take, I think, on that character that The Rock always plays, I guess. You know what? I'll say this. I think that the costume looked great, especially the costume we got in the finale. I was like a nerdy kid, you know, on Christmas. I was like, oh, man, he's got the cape. He's got the belt. He's got everything. He looks great. So the costume, I think, worked really well.
I agree with that.
So what were your problems with it, Jason? I want to know. I'm dying to know here.
Okay. Oh, boy. There's a lot. The CGI looked awful.
Like, in the finale fight scene?
At one point in time, I took my daughter to see this movie with me. Abigail looked at me and was like, Dad, what's going on? And I was like, I have no idea. I know there's a lot of lightning coming around, and everything it was like I was watching a bad cutscene from a movie. I felt like I was watching a Michael Bay Transformers movie.
So are you talking about just the finale? Because I will agree there. the little Satan guy, you know, he looked a little on the fake side. He didn't look terrible, but he looked a little fakish, you know, like, okay, this is not very good for a major motion picture. That was the only portion of the film where I thought the special effects in any way looked bad.
I thought Cyclops, when she used her powers, that looked really bad. I thought The Rock, at one point in time, I think it's in the finale when he's flying towards whoever the villain is, and I'll get to that in a minute. It looked really bad, dude. Like the stuff where he's moving fast at the beginning in the cave, I thought looked good. In a dark area, it looked really well. But like when you got Black Adam out in the sun and he's just doing things out in the light, I thought it looked like a Transformers movie.
I can agree with. All right, so there were certain parts throughout, like in the beginning when they were in the caves. When he first started making the fast movements, it was the like that blur that would happen. But then there was this one little moment where it was literally like they were like, screw the blur, let's just do this for a second.
Yeah.
And then they went back, and then they went back to the blur. Don't overthink it. Keep those movements simple. It doesn't overcomplicate the character. But I will agree that the CGI for the guy at the end, man, it did remind me of some of the CGI of Justice League. That was like just poorly executed. Man, it was just bad. That part I did not like. I feel like maybe for some of it from the neck down wasn't as bad, and maybe because my eyes weren't as focused on it. But it was like where the head was, man. It just
looked real bad.
That was not well executed. As much emphasis as they put on Black Adam, I feel like they could have better executed. And look, they may look at it now, and I hope they have. I mean, now they have the power to go back and touch up post cinema. But maybe that's one of the things that they will do.
I hope so.
Studios. That's the thing. I don't think that studios are doing that. We heard the same narrative with She-Hulk that they were going to go back and patch it, but
they didn't.
They didn't. And
that's true.
Think about this. It's already out at this point. So how in the world does it benefit Marvel? I mean, yeah, sure. Legacy, I guess, is one thing you could go with. You know, people discovering it for the first time in a year from now. But I think that when you're thinking about things the way that a studio head would think about things, that doesn't seem very appealing. But maybe that's just me. I don't know.
No, and I feel bad because it's not the effects artist's faults. Like they're just given so much to do in such a short amount of time. Like I feel bad for those guys, but
that's been a hot topic lately that
it didn't look good.
That's been a hot topic lately that special effects artists, especially with major motion picture studios like Marvel, like Disney, like Warner Brothers, they're overworked and underpaid and underappreciated as well.
Yes. Good CGI is so important to one of these superhero movies. Complaint number 2, and I think we've already touched on it. You guys might not realize it. Can you name me a character that was not Black Adam or in the Justice Society? Give me a name.
You got me.
You got Architect Girl, you got her son, you got the uncle, and you've got the bad guy.
Amanda Waller.
Okay.
Yeah.
Besides, and I will say this, like, man, I would have loved to just
at the very end of the movie. Hardcore. Remember her from Peacemaker? She was there monitoring the prison they put Black Adam into.
Okay. I don't guess I caught that. That's 2. But yeah, the characters were really bland. The characters I cared about, like, man, I would have loved a Justice Society movie. I would have loved that more than I think Black Adam. It's just a very, like, kind of by the numbers movie, in my opinion. And like I said, if I can't name you one character that's not your hero or like your hero's team up, you didn't write good characters. Like, I don't know what the villain. Honestly, I don't really know what the villain wants in the movie.
He wants to take back what's the name of the city again? The
Kahndaq.
Kondak, yeah.
He wants to take back Kondak.
Well, yeah, but the thing was, it was the mystical magic behind the crown, the darkness behind the crown.
Yeah.
But I think what it is it wasn't necessarily. It was more so about establish the crown, and then find out what the underworld or the world of darkness actually wanted.
Which I thought that was cool with everything being upside down. That was one of the things I was like, this is cool. But then the bad guy looked really bad.
He gets his powers from hell, just like Kane, Jason.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, this is just like the Big Red Machine. Maybe one day he'll be like a governor in Tennessee.
Yeah, never know.
But, okay. So problem number 3, and this is a big one for me. The tone of this movie is all over the place, and you can tell by the soundtrack.
I disagree with that, but go
from
on.
Smashing Pumpkins at the beginning of the movie, then you jump to Rolling Stones, then you go to Kanye West at the end, and it's just like boom, 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 like all these pop songs, kind of, and you're like, what world am I in? Like, you've got the Deadpool uncle who's listening to Angel, and then you've got the son who like it's just so weird to me. Like, I just thought the tone was everywhere also.
See, this is the first DC movie to me that feels like it's actually got a somewhat consistent tone.
Okay.
Daisy and I did see this movie in theaters together, and I tried not to talk to him too much afterwards. You know, you guys always try to talk to me before you're going to be on the show, but I'm always
I tried to talk to him in Walmart today.
But I feel like this movie was not. I think this is a narrative that Jason and I were talking about. Like, it wasn't too jokey like some of the more recent Marvel movies.
Yeah,
and the jokes were earned, rather than just throwing crap at the wall and just seeing what works. And then if it doesn't work, then, oh, well, at least we, said a joke here. So I think that every joke was earned. I think that, it wasn't overly too silly.
I'll give you that. It was not.
Yeah. I enjoyed the humor, and I thought that it was not inconsistent tonally. What do you think, Daisy?
Yeah, I think I would have completely agree. Like we discussed earlier, that was for me, that was the downfall of Thor: Love and Thunder, is because the comedic tone was like forced upon you. It was like, this worked well for the last film, so let's just really exploit it in this film. Whereas Black Adam, I felt like it was just a little more organic. For instance, where The Rock or Pierce Brosnan mentions sarcasm, and The Rock kind of plays off of that. It was like, no, you actually lied. That's not sarcasm. But it quickly moves on. It doesn't like stay in the moment too long. It just kind of does a little nod and then moves on. I would say that as far as tone-wise, I would agree with Jonathan, because for one, music's subjective. You can have different tones of music throughout. I truly think that with music being objective, it can apply itself tone-wise throughout whatever a specific scene needs. I don't think you have to, like, if you open the movie with Smashing Pumpkins, I don't think you have to keep a 90s grunge theme throughout. You think about the way the music that we grew up to versus what music is today, and the time that music has advanced throughout that. There's so much content to pull from. And so I think that there's something that can go along with it. I would
that makes sense.
I appreciate, because it does like give an expression to each like different styles of music. And I would say in those moments, if you prefer something different, then pause the movie or mute the movie and enter your own and see if it has the same carry. Well, I don't think it would. I wasn't thrown off by it, or I wasn't even really drawn to it, if that makes sense. As, oh, this is something that's not that great.
The Rolling Stones one was weird. The one that got me, the Kanye one.
That's a great song.
Like, that came out of nowhere.
Well, think about the lyrics to that song, Jason.
I know.
One man should not have all that power.
Oh, and speaking of which, like, I know we're going to get into this in another video. Man, you bet you they wish they had that one back before they put that song on the movie.
Why? Because of the artist?
Yeah. I mean, the week it came out, Kanye got like deplatformed.
That's what tends to happen in today's society.
Wish I could have that one back.
What did you guys overall think about not just CGI, but what did you think about the Justice Society as a whole?
I was really into it. I was very interested. Like, I want a movie with those characters. Like, I love Dr. Fate. Dr. Fate is one of the cool like, in my
he
opinion,
died. He died at the end of the movie. So
killed them all. I thought they were going to do something interesting. I thought the kid was going to get chosen by the helmet. Because they had the kid in the cape. Like, I was like, that's going to be interesting. But they don't really take any chances at all in the movie. Like,
I hated that Dr. Fate died at the end of the film. And Hawkman was good. I liked Hawkman.
Yeah.
I liked Adam Smasher somewhat. I just thought his mask looked a little too similar to Deadpool.
Deadpool? That's what I thought too.
I agree.
Cyclone was lame as hell. I could have totally done without Cyclone. Like, why not just give us somebody else that's a little bit more mainstream?
Yeah, I felt like she wasn't necessarily. When you take what she brought to the table, it's like, okay.
You can make a tornado and throw scaffold poles at you.
Different. Yeah.
Well, she has the same power basically as old Amber Heard in Aquaman.
Oh God, Cyclone.
Nah, John, that wind had different colors in it.
That's true. It was green and purple.
But yeah, I'm more interested in them than I am. And also, I thought they were going to do something really, really ambitious. Okay, if I can be a little bit nerdy for a second, if I can, like, the story that they got this origin of Black Adam from is from the New 52. And in that comic series, like, it's not his son, it's his nephew. And the slave masters don't kill Black Adam's nephew. Black Adam kills Black Adam's nephew because Black Adam's nephew wants to resolve it peacefully. I thought they were going to do that, and I was going to be like, he killed his son. But they didn't. Anything they could have done interesting, they just didn't, and it was really strange. I don't know why they did it that way.
Well, I think that they want to build this character as a anti-hero, which is basically a Stone Cold Steve Austin, right? Someone who flips off their boss, but at the end of the day, they're still a good guy. But
I don't want my Black Adam to be that.
Well, and I get that. I get that complaint, especially from a purist, someone who reads. And, I did not have a problem with this interpretation of Black Adam being an anti-hero, basically, which, like I said, means a hero. I mean, it's
and how interesting would it have been if he was just a straight villain and we got this story through his eyes as a villain?
It would have been interesting.
It would have been something different than what Marvel does.
Yeah, certainly. But I don't know that it would have made it a better film, and I don't know that it would have made the character more intriguing necessarily. Maybe it would have. I don't know. I mean, I'm a sucker for a really good villain, but at the end of the day, I can see why they did it. They want Rock. They want The Rock to be alongside Henry Cavill. And they're going to have the fight first, like Marvel did with the Avengers, where Thor and Captain America fight, and, Thor and Iron Man, whatever. But, yeah, at the end of the day, I can see why they did it.
And Black Adam's going to bash that dude. He's going to match him.
If he was simply villain and only villain, that's where from paper to screen, it can't always translate well.
I get that.
With comics, you have a continuation of writing. And so if they want to shift the story at any point down the road, they can. Whereas a movie, not so much. They've got to get to a common ground a lot quicker in cinema than they do in a comic book. Because you got to have a comic book run. So like in a comic book run, he could be all villain for a very long time.
Yeah,
and then they could shift that off. Imagine the box office if there would have been, at the end of the movie, it would have just been a kill all, tell all, and end of movie. The box office would have suffered because there would have been no satisfaction from the story. It's just like, hey, we got Black Adam, he destroyed everything. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but in my opinion, you could have still gone with the anti-hero thing, but moved more into the villain side of it. How awesome it would have been if we'd have just got a Thanos movie, and like that's what I'm thinking. Make Black Adam your big bad, because if you do Dark Side,
I don't know if I want to see that though, Jason. Like, I mean, that's just me personally. Maybe y'all would disagree with me on that, but I don't want to see Black Adam as a big bad. But it would be fun to see him as a villain in Shazam or whatever. But at the end of the day,
I feel like that's coming. That's what I feel like. So. That's what I feel like we're leading to.
One thing that I will say too is it almost seemed like he was unfairly treated so much like a villain by the JSA. You know, I guess that was from the knowledge that they was given. If I had a minor complaint, that would be one. But overall, I thought the movie was really fun. I didn't have as much of an issue with the special effects overall, with the exception of the very end fight. So that was not
like an hour.
That was not enough to ruin the film for me. So overall, if we're going to go ahead and start throwing ratings out there, I would say that I would give it, this is probably going to be more generous than I would feel in a year from now. So ask me again in a year. But right now, I think it's an 8. What do you think, Jason?
I was just waiting to see Jason's response once he gave the number.
John, I value your opinion as a comic book cinema connoisseur, but 1.5.
Oh, jeez.
Better than Man of Steel, better than Batman v Superman, better than Wonder Woman 84, but not as good in the DC universe as like The Batman or Suicide Squad 2016. Or 18, or whatever the last Suicide Squad was. James Gunn Suicide Squad.
21.
There you go. I'm having a kid Friday. Okay, my brain is all.
It's understandable. So you had this film at a 1.5. To
1.5. I'm not in the negatives. Man of Steel and Batman v Superman are in the negatives for me.
What do you have it, Daisy? No, dude, I'm gonna let it land around like a 6.5. That's because it's better than 50%. You know, it's better than the halfway mark. Like, I genuinely enjoyed it. And again, I don't have as much background knowledge with the character, but as far as like what I do know and the translation from script to screen, I appreciate it. It wasn't underwhelming for me, and I think I could probably stay with that simply because it's a character I do appreciate, and now he's on the big screen. So
yeah, I like the characters. If we're just rating the characters, I'd probably say 5.56. But the story, like, if I can't tell you the name of the villain, you didn't do a good job in your storytelling. Also, the pacing was really weird. Like, it felt like at the beginning of the movie we had to run. At one point in time, like when we're going through like the origin story at the very beginning, I'm like, is this on fast forward? Like, why are we running through this? And then we got to once he goes to the prison, it felt like it just stopped. The movie just was like, no more running. We're going to go slow now. And then that led to the Transformers final scene.
Once again, that's not a vibe that I got from it, but, you know, that's the beauty of it. Hey, you're not wrong, Jason. I'm not wrong. Daisy's not wrong. Movies are subjective, and we all have different opinions. We all get something unique and different from a film. And at the end of the day, I liked it a lot. Daisy thought it was pretty good, and then you hated it.
Let me ask you this, like, one last question for you guys. What does this mean for DC going forward? Like, are we going to get a Superman played by Henry Cavill that is Superman? Is it going to be Man of Steel Superman? What does Battinson have to do with any of this? Like,
Battinson doesn't have anything to do. That's going to continue to be something completely separate and cut off from
like
the rest of the DC universe.
Yeah,
yes,
like a Joker.
Just like the Joker universe. But I think that I have heard through the grapevine that they're going to do a soft reboot to both Henry Cavill's Superman and Ben Affleck's Batman, and they're going to keep them both. They might even
keep with that.
They're definitely going to keep Godot and Momoa as Aquaman and Wonder Woman. they might even keep the Flash.
I
which is
cannot
crazy
believe
to
that.
me.
I cannot believe that.
I can't believe it. It's unlikely still, but it wouldn't shock me at this point from the things that I've heard about through the grapevine, like through some different news sources, like they're already doing reshoots with him now, like currently. That was recent as like a week ago. We'll see. I really
That's
hope
insane.
it is.
If they do recast the Flash, anybody could be kidnapped. Like we gotta keep Ezra Miller happy.
We will get more into that in our next video. So, guys, thanks so much for joining us. Jason, why don't you tell us where we can find you on Spotify?
Jason Explains It All. I have a back catalog. After this kid gets here and everything, I'm having a daughter on this Friday. I have new episodes in the can. Watch for that around December. But go back and listen to Jason Explains It All the way through. It's good stuff.
I have a graphic design and digital marketing business called Kingdom Projects. You can look me up at KNGDMPROJX.com for all those things.
Thanks for joining. And also, comic book movie fans, you can always find us here at YouTube. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Check us out on Facebook. And you can also find us on TikTok and Instagram at Real Comic Book Cinema. Until next time, guys, have a wonderful day.